Hello, it's Kathleen with Cross Stitch Antiques, and I'm giving you, as promised, a tour of our third floor of our Victorian reproduction home. So we're way up high, and this is what we call our little library. We have a nice little reading nook and lots of books that our family has read over the years. These are my favorites. Some overflowing shelves here. You can see I'm very much a book lover. My favorites are, let's see, Lucy Maud Montgomery, Laura Ingalls Wilder, Jane Austen, Willa Cather, J.R.R. Tolkien. Goodness, I can go on and on and on. My children all tend to follow in my footsteps with their various shelves. Lots of interest there and all kinds of classics. We have a daughter who studied classical ballet for many years. It's her collection. Literary writers, all kinds of children's books that we've collected over the many years that our children have been growing up and now share some of them with our grandchildren. So, beautiful library we have up here. Also, we have several bedrooms. This one, just show you briefly, is my daughter's bedroom. It also doubles as a very large dorm room. We have beds here that are trundles that pull out. We can sleep lots of kids when they come home from break. A nice full-size bathroom. Going back to this area of the house, again on the third floor, this is our son's room when he's home from college. Very neat, because he's not here. And oh my gosh, I love these antique quilts. These are little Holly Hobby dolls that I used to have when I was a little girl, nestled in this old-fashioned cradle that I picked up at an antique resale shop some time ago. And then last but not least on this floor we have my sewing room, which you've seen me videotape inside before, but I'd like to show you a little bit more of my room now and then highlighting a few of my antique samplers here in this video. So let's see, we have up here at the top a sampler I stitched many years ago, 1990. It was a kit, and I don't believe I remember from which designer. This is from my antique pattern album. That's the model. It's a chart you can purchase on my website. Some of my favorite little samplers I've done over the years, 1998. This is my reproduction of the antique sampler fragment. Over here we have a sampler I stitched from, I believe it was a Cross Stitch magazine, antique sampler, monthly perhaps, quarterly, not sure. And this is just part one of the triptych. It's an absolutely gorgeous sampler. Amish house. This beautiful little stitching my mother did for me many years ago. It reminds me of Ireland. This sampler, pardon the glare, is going to eventually be reproduced by me. It's a lovely antique, very faded, but I do hope to get to that soon. On this wall is pretty much a very functional shelf. I keep a lot of my antique cross-stitch records, business records, my calendar from Needlework Press where I record what samplers I've been working on, which ones I'd like to work on. And down here you'll see many of my books on samplers that I've collected over the years. I'm really thrilled with this collection that keeps growing. I do love reading about historic samplers and researching them as well. A sneak peek under this little pink quilt are some unframed samplers that are my own. I'm planning to reproduce these as time permits. little teaser. There's about 6 of them hiding under there. This is the beautiful model I stitched called On This Fair Canvas. And this was released in March of 2020 at the Needlework Market. And it's done with Gloriana silks, very large. It's on 32 count, vintage buttercream by Lakeside Linen. I love that sampler. It's a tribute to my family. Here I keep many of my flosses that I've used, sampler threads, Gloriana, NPI. I also have a Veriswa, a stack of lovely linens. Again, I like to carry a wide variety of linens for designing purposes, so that when I purchase an antique sampler, I can match the linen to best make it look like the real thing. I also have a number of charts up here and projects that I would love to get working on eventually. As you can see, very much like the Quaker samplers, a number of items from Stitchy Box, some other sampler clubs I belong to, like Country Sampler, and various projects. I think I mentioned before I attended the the Attic Needlework Summer School. Some of these are kits from that wonderful event I attended in August. Here I have many of my SALs. So I think I've showed some of these before. I have my Ann Morrison I'm working on. I have another lovely sampler here rolled up. The hats sampler here in the corner that I'm going to use as a burst sampler. A whole bunch of projects there in the corner. In my baskets, these are ongoing whips and just various kitted projects that eventually I will, God willing, get to. And there's another basket full of projects. Some are kitted, some are not. This you might have seen in the background. This is an old-fashioned sewing machine, just a little display that inspires me, things I've picked up at garage sales, lovely little sewing vintage mementos. Oh, beautiful, beautiful handmade things. Linen, lace, crochet, little boxes, strawberries, buttons. And on the wall you can see I have a number of Victorian houses. Now, these have a story behind them. I have not stitched these myself. Many of you know I have a little shop. It's an old general store called the Family Hearth General Store right down the street from where we live. And one day, a couple years ago, a woman came into my shop, seeing that I love cross stitch, and asked if I would like to have her stitchings. She made all these and just gave them to me, these Victorian homes. She said she stitched these with her husband as he watched sports on TV, and then sadly they divorced, and she can't stand the sight of them, she told me, and she wanted them to go to a good home. So I treasure them. They fit so well in my little sewing room up here. Now I'm going to give you a sneak peek, as promised, of some antique samplers that I have framed. These I collected over a period of time. First of all, in no particular order, I'm just going to go through these quickly because we'll be talking about these at length as I release them. This May These Lines Are Relic Proof is going to be my February release. Here's the actual antique. We have the Alphabet Antique Floral Sampler, which is going to be my March 2021 release. Some beautiful antique samplers here. This is what they would call a presentation sampler. And then a very old frame. The Child's Petition. Love this border, absolutely love this border. Not yet charted, hopefully someday soon. behind that, three red pots, which has been released. This is the antique. It's on my website as well. Suffer Little Children, also previously released on my website. This is the antique. Here we have one yet unnamed. Beautiful sampler. Oh, I just love the motifs on this. Can't wait to get to this one. This is a sampler on perforated paper. Sarepta Thompson. Again, planning to reproduce these. Catherine Armstrong. As you can tell, I love flowers. I don't like stitching houses so much. I love the way they look, but I prefer flowers, alphabets. That's what really appeals to me, and anything with beautiful, beautiful colors. This is the antique of Innocence 1840, which has already been previously released, which is a very popular chart. Absolutely stunning. It's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. It's available on my website and in your favorite needlework store. Again, just a quick tour here. This is Anne Wilkinson, 1834. This is my model, stitched reproduction, and here is the actual antique. Again, flowers, colors, beautiful mottos and verses are what really appeals to me most of all. Here we have the Carter House sampler, previously reproduced. This is my model. Have a look. Carter House sampler is a reproduction of the Mary Atkinson sampler from Franklin, Tennessee, from the Carter House Museum there, proceeds of which benefit the Battle of Franklin Trust. And one more in the corner here. Oh, another absolutely gorgeous. It's good for me to see these again. It makes me very motivated to get my work going, reproducing these lovely samplers. Look at this. Jesus, let thy great name propitious stand. Another beautiful old reproduction sampler I hope to chart from 1846. So, I hope that inspires you. I will be back for more. I am planning to, this year as my New Year resolution, release an antique sampler of the month. So stay tuned, Cross Stitch Antiques. Until then, stitch antiques. God bless you.